Today's lesson is on fractional coefficients. Remember, a fractional coefficient is the number in front of the variable. So they're going to be fractions. Okay, it's the number in front of the variable. Fractionally, so they're going to look like this. These aren't difficult. They're pretty straightforward. Do you remember probably in Algebra 1, you did something called fraction busters? Well, that's what you're going to do on these. They're simply a fraction buster. And all you're going to do is you're going to multiply everything by whatever all these numbers will go into. So whatever they go into, or that LCM. Remember we were doing LCM. So on this one, it looks to me like, let's see, 5 goes into 10, 2 goes into 10, 10 goes into 10. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 10 so that I can actually get rid of it. So multiplying both sides by 10, and you use that distributive property, so I have 10 times m over 5 minus 10 times 1/2 equals 3 times 10. And then I'm just going to reduce. Once I reduce, it's going to be a problem that I can actually work. And it's not going to be quite as scary. So when I reduce here, 5 goes into itself once, into 10 twice. So what I end up with here then is 2m. Here I have 2 goes into itself once, into 10 5 times. So that's going to give me minus 5. And over here, 10 goes into itself once, and that's going to give me an equals 3. Now I'm down to a problem that I can actually solve. So I'm going to solve it, just finish the solution here. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I have 2m equals 8. And then I'm going to divide by 2. And m then equals 4. So I use a fraction buster so I can solve. You did this in Algebra 1 probably. They probably called them fraction busters. So you're just multiplying by that LCM so that everything will actually wipe out. All right, here's one for you. If you need to pause the video, pause it now. You can take your notes, finish up your notes. Okay, here's another type. Well, it's not another type, it's just another problem. They're actually all done the same way. But here's another example for you. Same thing, trying to do the exact same process. It's what number do all of them go into so that when I multiply both sides by that number, I can wipe out the denominators. That's my goal. So I'm looking at the 2, the 6, and the 9. The 2, the 6, and the 9. So what's the first number they all go into? Well, they don't all go into 9. 6 and 2 are the lowest, so of course those aren't them. So how about 18? I think that's the lowest one. And if you don't get the lowest one, it doesn't really matter. It's still going to work out in the end. So I'm going to take 18. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 18. When I do that, what happens is I'm going to go ahead and distribute to all terms. I have 18 times x squared over 9 minus 18 times x over 6 minus 18 times 1/2 equals 18 times 0 is 0. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going to simplify. So I'm going to simplify here. So 9 goes into itself once, into 18 twice. That gives me 2x squared. 6 goes into itself once, into 18 3 times. So that's minus 3x. 2 goes into itself once and into 18 9 times, so I have minus 9 equals 0. And I think you know what to do with that. You have to factor and then you have to solve, just like you did in chapter 4. Okay, let's go ahead and factor that. So I have 2x and x. And my 9, it could be either 9 and 1 or 3 and 3. I'm thinking 3 and 3 look pretty good. So I'm going to do 3 and 3. And one of them is going to be negative. When I multiply these two together, that's going to give me a negative 6x. And I want a negative 3x, so this must be positive. Once I factor it, all I have to do is set each piece equal to 0. And this is all stuff that we've already done. And then solve. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. That gives me 2x equals negative 3. Divide by 2. And x equals negative 3 halves. Over here what I have is I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And I have x equals 3. So my answer is either negative 3 halves or 3. So I have two possibilities. You put these in set marks. So negative 3 halves and 3. Those are the two things that are actually going to work. If you need to get the notes, again, just pause the video right here and you can write down all of your notes. Okay, so they don't all look quite like this. Some of them get a little more difficult. Okay, here's another example for you. Okay, so we have this example. So go ahead and get that written down. While you're writing it, I want you to think about that denominator and think of what can I multiply everything by to get rid of all the denominators. 2 and 3 are the lowest numbers, so it's not going to be those. 6 is the bigger number. Does 3 go into 6? Yeah. Does 2 go into 6? Yeah. Does 6 go into 6? Well, yeah. So that's probably a good choice. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply everything by 6 because that's what will work. Again, it's the distributive property. I'm not doing anything different. So I have 6 times x plus 1 over 3 plus 6 times x minus 1 over 6 equals 2x plus 1 over 2 times, we'll do it like this, 6. I'm going to come through, I'm going to reduce, that's all I have to do. 3 goes into itself once, into 6 twice. What I have now is 2 times, actually 2 times this quantity of x plus 1. So don't forget that that's a quantity, it's the whole thing. Here, too many pens here. Let me put the red one down. There we go. 6 goes into itself once, so I have plus this quantity x minus 1, and here I have 2 goes into itself once, into 6 3 times, so what I have is 3 times this quantity, 2x plus 1. Now all I have to do is simplify everything, combine like terms, refactor if I need to. It doesn't look like it because I don't see any squared terms, so I think I'm going to be able to solve for x. I'm going to use the distributive property, 2x plus 2, plus there's nothing in front here, so nothing I need to multiply, so x minus 1 equals, again using that distributive property, 6x plus 3. I'm going to combine like terms. These are like, these are like. That gives me 3x plus 1 equals 6x plus 3. I have a variable on both sides. You know how to solve that. All you have to do is move toward the bigger positive x. Okay, so I'm going to go and subtract 3x from both sides. That's going to give me 1. This goes to 0. Equals 3x plus 3. And then I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. And I have negative 2 equals 3x. Divide by 3. Hopefully I'm not too far out of my range here. I think I'll bring it up right here. So I have negative 2/3 equals x in the end, and that then is my answer. Okay? So don't forget, you're using the distributive property. You're just selecting something that will wipe out all my denominators, not diameters, denominators. Okay? We want to wipe all those guys out. We're just picking a number that will allow us to do that. If you need to pause. You can take down the rest of these notes. Make sure you get them all. I'm going to try to do one more before my battery runs out. We'll see how I do. Okay, here's your next one. This one can actually be done 2 different ways. I'm just going to be consistent and show you the way that I've been showing you before, but can also be done through cross multiplication. So you did learn that in Algebra 1. If you remember how to do that, you could do it here because you have a fraction equal to a fraction, and that's when it works. But I'm going to go ahead and still kind of think about what's going to get rid of my denominator and go ahead and try those instead, just to be consistent. So I have a 12, I have a 4. What do they both go into? Well, they both go into 12, right? So I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 12. Once I do that, I just need to come and say, oh, well, 12 goes into itself once, into itself once. I have x times x plus 5. 4 goes into itself once, into 12 3 times. So now I have this 3x plus 8. I need to distribute that. I need to distribute this. Here I'm going to distribute. Well, I'm not done yet. I have a squared term. I'm going to go to where it's positive. It's positive over here, so I'm going in this direction. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3x from both sides. And I think at the same time I'll subtract 24. Let's put it right here, squeeze it in. What I get is 0 on that side. On this side I have x squared plus 2x minus 24, bad writing, equals 0. This one, because it's squared, I am going to have to factor. So once I factor, I know those. 24, let's see, so 6 and 4, that would get me a 2, right? The difference, because it's going to be a difference. I want the 6 to be positive because the 2 is positive, and that will be negative. I'll set both of these equal to 0, and I'll solve. That's going to give me 2 possible solutions. So x could be negative 6, and x could be 4. So there's my solution set, negative 6 and 4. Okay, that's it for these notes. It was pretty quick, sorry. Make sure you pause it when you need to pause it. Just look back. You can rewind, you can do whatever you want with the video. If you need to pause the video, you can always pause the video. Take down the rest of the notes. Okay, that's all there is for this particular lesson. When you go into class, you will have a worksheet on it, and I think it's pretty straightforward. So good luck.